Isekai, or the transported to another world genre, is one of the most popular manga genres out there right now, and the turn heroes into villains trope is another growing trend in media. Put those things together with the writing of Homura Kawamoto, the author of the popular gambling manga Kakegurui, and you've got a recipe for success. Or at least, that's what you'd think. But killing the people reincarnated into the other world, Cheat Slayer, was cancelled after just a single chapter, and the author issued an apology on his Twitter. Let's take a look at Isekai Tenseishi Koroshi Cheat Slayer, what could have been, and why it got axed so quickly. Cheat Slayer is an isekai manga where the protagonist himself has not been transported to another world. Instead, there are 9 major characters who have been transported, who are called the Insurgents of God, heroes who fight against the Demon Lord's armies. They're beloved by everyone in the world, including the protagonist Lute, who is a simple villager. The manga starts out with Lute hanging out with his childhood friend until his village burns down and one of the Insurgents of God arrives and does some extremely unfamily-friendly things and leaves his childhood friend dead. 2 other insurgents are there and don't stop him. Lute gets revived from near-fatal wounds by a witch, who then sets him off on a path of revenge against these powerful heroes. It's not the most original story, for sure. I mean, it's basically the plot of The Boys, where a man who idolizes heroes has his girlfriend killed, and another person with a grudge against them helps arm him to take them out. That said, there's nothing wrong with taking a model that works and applying it to a completely new genre and medium. Like the characters in The Boys have direct parallels to Justice League members, the characters in Cheat Slayer also bear strong resemblances to established isekai protagonists. Let's run through them quickly. We've got Looper Honda Yuya, a clear parody of Subaru from ReZero, who's known for his time loop ability, just with a different car brand for a name. God's Mistake, Lewis Crawford. This one is apparently Shin Wolford from Kenja no Mago, with maybe a bit of Rudius from Mushoku Tensei, but it seems like the author took inspiration from Kearu from Redo of Healer when displaying his evilness. The Fallen Goddess, Flare. This is clearly Aqua from Konosuba, but with a fire-related name instead of water. The daughter villainess, Imelda Pinata, she's Katarina Clays from My Life as a Villainess. The dual-wielding Black Knight, Kilt, read in katakana as Kiruto, this one's extremely obvious. The young demon, Anastasia Melkova, by the military uniform and the name you can tell it's Tanya Degorachov from Yojo Senki. The named slime, Roro Sendiger, clearly Rimuru Tempest from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Otherworld Restaurant, Shijo Yukiko, it's Aletta from Isekai Shokudo. And lastly, the Undead King, Don Will Dead, that's Ainz Ulgon from Overlord, except merged with the design of Elias Ainsworth from the Ancient Magus Bride. So now for the official reason that this manga was cancelled after a whopping 1 chapter. The editorial board received complaints from readers and authors about characters who were too recognizable as existing protagonists being turned into incredibly evil villains. You might say, that's the whole point of the manga, it's directly parodying those characters. And you'd be right. But it's important to note that it's not just characters' powers that are being parodied, it's their appearances. In Japan, copyright law is far stricter than it is in other countries, and there's far less freedom of fair use. That's why you typically don't see a lot of explicit references to other properties in manga and anime, and when they are present, they're usually from other titles that the magazine or studio owns. So something like Cheat Slayer, where characters are instantly recognizable copies in terms of how similar they look, and on top of that they're portrayed in an extremely negative light, crosses the line of what's considered acceptable. There's also a lot to be said about nuance here. Making a character that's an unapologetic ripoff of the protagonist of Kenja no Mago is one thing, but giving him the personality of the guy from Redo of Healer isn't really any kind of nuanced satire. To bring up The Boys again, Homelander has most of the powers of Superman, including laser eyes, and he's shown to be an absolute psychopath despite public perception. At the same time, the show eases into this and also shows the reasons why he's so messed up. In Cheat Slayer, Lewis Crawford is just brazenly evil right off the bat, and talks like he's evil just for the sake of being evil. He doesn't even give off the facade of being a hero at first. That said, while I understand why this manga was cancelled, I wish it wasn't. Yes, the first chapter feels ridiculously edgy. Yes, it's full of tropes. And yes, the characters don't seem to have a lot of nuance. But we're also judging the story based on a single chapter that was likely crafted to get the most attention from the magazine readership as possible and get people talking about it. These villains could be really well fleshed out parodies with explicit motivations for why they're so evil, but we'll never find out now. Also, it's actually not clear whether all of the Insurgents of God are really as cartoonishly evil as Crawford is. At their meeting, a lot of them seem grossed out by his behavior, and the Aqua parody seems to genuinely want to take out the Demon Lord. Plus, it's not shown whether this group actually burned down the village or if they went there to fight the Demon Lord's army and Crawford just took advantage of the chaos. The witch says they did, but for all we know she could be evil too. So I really don't think the story would have been so black and white as a whole. Rather, it probably used Crawford for shock value and a plot device who likely would have been killed off quickly while the rest of the heroes got more development and showed their evil sides more slowly. In addition, it would have been pretty cool to see all of these OP protagonists' powers interacting in the same universe, and to see the ways that a powerless villager finds to take them out. I also was really looking forward to seeing how the manga would make characters like the cooking isekai girl into an actual threat. The other thing I liked about this manga is that the witch who helps Lute has knowledge of who all the people were before they reincarnated. That brings a new dimension to things because Lute is able to mention this to stop himself from being instantly killed by Crawford, and it seems like he may have been able to use it as a blackmail technique. While killing the people reincarnated into the other world, Cheat Slayer had a fairly mediocre first chapter in terms of writing, it was an interesting concept. I would have enjoyed following this to see if it would become an actually good deconstruction like The Boys or just a cringeworthy cash grab. Sadly, we'll never have the chance to either praise or roast the final product due to outdated copyright laws and reader complaints. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing for weekly content. I'm Matrix from Matrix AM, Anime, and more, and I hope you have a great day.